What's going on, Fit Fam? Here I am. It is the end of week 10, and here we go. I didn't work out this week, but let me tell you why. I haven't. I have a legitimate excuse. So my hours start at 5 a.m. and then I leave for work at 6, and then and yes, I do take an hour to get ready because I don't want to feel rushed. That's a personality thing. I'm one of those guys that do things in a mindful way and really don't like I mean, I'll do it under pressure and I'll get ready if I'm late or if I slept in or whatever. But when it comes to work and stuff, I like to just really focus and take my time and not feel rushed. But anyways, going back, 5, 6, 6 to 6 is when I'm gone. So I come home at 6. And at that point, so right now my family's out of town. At 6 o'clock, I take off my work clothes, put on some sweats, then got to pick out my work clothes for the next day because nobody likes to do that in the morning. I mean, why do it in the morning? Then I got to make lunch for the next day because I'm a family guy. I can't afford to eat out every day. So I make my lunch, then maybe get a bite. And at that time, I'm not really hungry, but I'm like, I should probably eat. Then it's bedtime. That's it. That's it. That's all I got. So part of me is like, how do I work in some fitness? Like, should I just do one exercise now? Now we're going back to one exercise a day. If I do one exercise, 3 sets, that should take me 20 minutes, right? I'll have to time it. But that's kind of what I'm thinking of implementing right now. So in the scheme of things, I've maintained my weight. So I'm still around 157, 156, and it fluctuates. I felt a little fluffy here and there a couple of days, and I haven't had any muscle growth. But I will say that from having the job where I'm walking, I have averaged 7,700 steps during the day on average. Now, that's better than 850, which I was doing when working from home. I think that the trade-off is if I was remote, I would have more time to work out. But if I'm going into the office, then I'm walking. I'm just not gaining any muscle walking. At least I don't think I am. Now, thankfully, this job, which I found out it's a hybrid. So I'll probably just go in 3 days a week and then take work from home 2 days. And that'll help me kind of get back on track on the fitness scale. The last couple episodes, we had talked about miracles, coincidences. And I want to say, I know I brought this up, but I want to bring it up again. You don't understand how powerful, like, the universe, God, energy, all of this is related. My unemployment benefits ended September 15th. My first day of work was September 15th. It lined up. I mean, you can't ask for anything more. So there are things like that in my life. And I welcome you all to just look in your past life. Look in your past and see, has there been things like that have lined up for you? I mean, if that doesn't make you believe, I don't know what else you need. I mean, you need an angel in front of your face. But I feel like that's really a strong evidence. Strong evidence right there. And I think part of it is that we get so caught up in life and Instagram and social media and Facebook and blah, 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 where we get tone deaf to really simple things that highlight your day. Simple things that can say, hey, wait a minute. That is interesting how that happened. That's interesting how I didn't get that job. And then later there was a disaster in the place where I would have been if I had the job. You know, it's interesting how you heard it on 9/11. You heard about people who just didn't happen to go to work that day for whatever reason. Coincidence? I don't know. Now, obviously, I can't answer for the other side of it, right? If it was time for someone to leave the earth, I don't know. There's so much that I don't understand. But from what I do understand and can comprehend are the simple miracles and things that happen in your life that help you direct your life. And you got to believe. I mean, I believe. Anyways, growing up in a religious home, they talk about tithing. And so I would tithe out of guilt, pressure. Yeah, I mean, really just guilt, like, oh, I guess I should give, that type of feeling. And so in my 20s and 30s, I kind of stopped tithing just to do an experiment. Is this really real? And I heard, some leadership programs and speakers and motivational speakers, when they talk about giving, they do say, and I've heard this where they say it's a universal energy, it's a universal thing that when you give freely, you do it does become the energy will the universe will reciprocate. You will get, and I mean, they even say it in the Bible. So I think part of it is I did that experiment and I stopped giving, and I didn't get a raise, I didn't get a promotion, I didn't get another job, and it was difficult. It became more difficult, and I was just like, wow. And so talking, I've been through, it's one of those things where you question everything, which I think you should. But you question, is this real? Is this a real thing that giving actually helps you thrive? And experiment, I definitely didn't thrive when I wasn't giving, and I thrived when I was giving. So going back to giving, we had to talk about it to my wife, and we're like, we should start giving to charity again. And it was one of those things where you just kind of go, yeah, and I know why. The key thing is, there's a lot of scams out there. So you got to really figure out who you're going to give to. And we have organizations that we have talked about, and one of them is from my wife's background, the other one's from my daughter's background. And I think those are good organizations to help support. There you go. That is my wisdom tooth, if you will, for the day. And I question, for you all to question, what's happened in your life. Are there things that stand out? Are there things, if you really think about it, going, wow, that was pretty significant. That was a pretty positive thing that happened. Today's affirmation: your talent determines what you can do, because it's skill set. Your motivation determines how much you're willing to do it. And then your attitude determines how well you do it. So how much, how well, and what you can. And I think those are the three things and that's by Lou Holtz. That was his affirmation. And I thought that was true. I mean, we all have talents, we all have passions that are kind of, hopefully they're aligned. And when you have those aligned, you can process and continue to do that as a career. And then you've met the people that don't have the motivation, that are at jobs, who are clocking in, clocking out. There's a lot of organizations out there that I've met across that are just like, I'm just doing this to get a paycheck. I'm doing this to survive because that's all I can do. When yet back in the day, a couple years, I don't know if it's still accurate, but you heard about the millennials are job hopping, right? Because when they job hop, they get more salary and they're gaining that. Where you have the other people who are baby boomers who are just staying at the job because it's safe and no one else is going to hire me. So it's kind of one of those things where it's all about perception and then your attitude, right? Are you willing to take on a new challenge? Are you willing to try something new? Are you willing to take a risk on yourself? Are you willing to push yourself? I think those are the simplistic things that we've heard all our lives, but yet some people just, they don't act on it. So, I challenge everyone. I mean, it's no different in fitness. The reason why we work out, because it challenges us and we want to live longer and we want to look better and be stronger. That's part of it. That's our motivation, right? We might not be the best lifter. We might have the talent on the exercises. All we can do is practice. But when you practice and you're working out, you're going to have a good attitude about it. You don't go, oh, I'm going to go to the gym because I hate it. Who does that? Most people say, I need to go to the gym because I can feel it. I can feel my stomach getting fluffy. I can feel it underneath my face is getting, I could say I think my face is thinned out a little bit since last year. All that to say is there's simple things that we come across that we can utilize, or we can just push it aside. We can ignore it, or we can embrace it. That's it. Everything from the way you work, your job, what you're going to do if you're unemployed, if you're looking for a job, there are simple things that we can do. AI. Let's talk about AI. Okay. I think it was a blessing that I didn't get a job that I applied for that involved AI. And the reason was because I didn't know anything about AI. The interview question was, what do you know about AI? How do you use AI? I had no answer. I said, well, summarize things, right? I played around with it, but I didn't really understand the whole concept of it. Now, here is where I'm going to say to those who are unemployed, invest and learn it, because that is going to set you apart from the rest of the unemployment people who are just looking for a job. That's going to help you. And I will link kind of the resources that I found. And I don't know if the guy was going to raise the price. I got in on an AI course and I'll put out the Outskill one, 16 hours. It's like a weekend. It's like, I think 3 days. And, or is it 2 days? Must be 2 days. 8 hours a day. I know it's a long day, and yes, they are going to sell you something at the end, but the information you gain just from that 16 hours is huge, especially if you don't understand AI, and especially if you don't know what its capabilities are, and especially if you're just kind of in this wave pool of AI this and AI that. Once you take this course, you'll make sense. It'll help. Now, the thing they'll sell you on is the fellowship program, which I did buy. I went into that because I thought I want to dive deeper, and I'm a technical guy. I love stuff like that. So I did go into that. But I will say it was so significant in opening my eyes to what really AI can be used for and how do you use it. And then the fellowship program, you dive deeper into like the RAG models, MCP, doing automations, all that stuff. And for me, as a content developer, that is huge. I love stuff like that because how can I utilize technology versus taking a camera and going out and filming when I can just create it in AI for companies, right? That's the key. But I will link that in the show notes, and then I will also link a community group that I had joined that does AI stuff. I mean, they're everywhere, you guys. You know, you can go to OpenAI, and they have their own courses. What was the other one? I think that was the one. Everybody's doing it. Google's doing it. Microsoft's doing it. Everybody's doing it, and they all have free courses. I think the thing that I liked about the Outskill program is it's crammed in, and I think it's live. It's live. So you're there. Now you're there super early because the teachers are in India. And then if you have a hard time understanding accents, which they're pretty good, they will ask you, can you understand me? Am I talking too fast? Because that is a key thing. And we all know as Americans here in America or any other country, I have a hard time with accents. And Asian people even, I can't even understand what they're saying. If someone is a different race speaks a different language and they have an accent, I have the hardest time picking up specific words that they're saying, and I try to listen. The Indian teachers, those guys, those gals, they're very good. Very good, and I can comprehend everything that they're saying, and they speak at a slower pace so that because they know their audience. That's part of being a good teacher. You have to know who you're talking to. Anyways, back to the main point. Working at a new organization, I find out how many companies don't understand AI. A lot of them, it's mostly the software developers that are getting it, but the organizational regular project managers, directors, and VPs, not all, most of them don't understand the capabilities. They don't understand how to use it as a tool. They don't understand how you can implement things to make things faster and easier. Even down to your peers. If you're in the like where I am, just a program manager, a lot of your peers don't understand it. So by learning this, putting it on your resume, practicing it, playing with it, it's going to elevate your opportunity level past everybody else. That is my tip. That is the one thing I believe, not the one thing, but it did help. It made me stand out. And I think that's huge. So I want you all to come away with something. And so with that, I hope that was helpful. And those are good tips. I did look over a acquaintance of mine who was in the same situation as I am. His resume was packed, which is not a good thing because if it's so thick and you have text everywhere, and plus his resume just said what he did, it didn't quantify how he did it. It didn't quantify the results of what he did. So I think that was another thing. So make sure that your resume and 3 to 4 bullet points, that's all you need. And another thing that helped me was going into AI, uploading the job description and saying, what are the themes of this job? And then matching those themes to your resume. That will connect the dots, because then when they're looking at your resume, you can talk specifically about what's on there when you're doing an interview, which matches their theme, and you use their keywords. That will help elevate you. So you have the experience, the keywords, and AI. And talk about automation. Talk about, how have you used AI? Or just say, yeah, when I was doing this project, I threw it in AI to see what the results are. I was looking at the data and I was looking at the statistics, all that stuff, buzzwords. It all works though. It does help. So I hope that helps you all. All right. So we will wrap it up for week 10. What a waste. What a waste of non-exercise. Not a waste of whole week, but it has been a go week. I'm thankful, definitely thankful, doing it. And now I just got to figure out how to integrate working out. And we're going to try this one exercise a day and see how that works. All right. See you in the next episode.